Mandy Harvey, welcome to the Chad Silveus Show.
Well, thank you for having me.
Well, it's a pleasure to have you. Most people will probably recognize you first and foremost from America's Got Talent from 2017. I believe that you finished fourth, which is impressive under any circumstances.
Well, thank you. That was a weird time and terrifying, but I'm really glad that I did it.
Well, you are a singer and a songwriter, and the most amazing part about it is that you're profoundly deaf.
I think the amazing part about it is that I'm a songwriter. That stuff's not easy. But yeah, no, I lost my hearing when I was 18 years old. So for the purposes of people listening in, we're communicating because of closed captions and amazing technology in the world that we live in today.
And I'm thankful that we can communicate because you have such an encouraging story and such an inspiring story. But, let's start with your music in particular, because when I went back and I listened to some of the songs that you've written and sang, I was blown away. And one of the things I want to ask you about is your songwriting, but first, your voice. Your voice is absolutely angelic.
Oh, thanks.
I don't know what has changed or been different since you lost your hearing, but I'm telling you, if your voice could not be any better. It's absolutely beautiful.
I think it's a lot of confidence, which seems very contradictory because, people assume that if you can't hear, there's no way that you could be confident in what you're doing. But there's an absolute freedom with being able to sing and not being able to hear yourself, because for me, not having performance be part of kind of like my lifeblood growing up, I was always very anxious and very scared to sing or be in front of people. Being able to sing and not be able to judge myself and criticize myself into oblivion has been one of the single greatest blessings of my life. So I would imagine, I think the difference, is I don't pay so much attention to every tiny little piece of what I didn't do correctly. Instead, I focus on the things that I feel good about and try to emote as much as possible.
Well, I encourage anybody that has not heard you sing to go on YouTube. Obviously, your America's Got Talent performances are on there. You've got music videos. I'm sure you have a website with videos, which we'll talk about more. We'll talk about your new album that you're getting ready to put out. But, your songwriting, I really wanted to talk about that, and you brought it up right away because to me, I'm a big fan of music. I have no musical talent, but I love music, and I'm a fan of it. And to me, the most impressive thing there is not just necessarily somebody who sings well, but somebody who can sing and who can write, and you can do both.
Well, I think it's hard for me to say that you're not a musician or you don't have any musical talent. I think that everyone has their own form of musical talent. I think that we just live in an age where we are so competitive and we compare ourselves to everybody else. So I would imagine that given you, an amazing cowbell or something, and you just haven't found your right voice in it, But I think songwriting is difficult on a couple of levels because one, you have to be able to put yourself in a position of complete vulnerability where you are either saying a very personal song, which all of my songs are dual-faced. So it's my secret to myself. There's one aspect of the song that I feel like most people will gravitate to easily. So, Release Me, for example. Release Me, a lot of people assume it's about a relationship. And that's where they go, and they put themselves into that aspect of it. But in reality, it's a very personal story about when I was driving to the pharmacy and I was picking up antidepressants for the first time and how defeated I felt because I wasn't able to just be happy. And I was just kind of begging happiness to come back into my life and for the sadness to go so that I didn't have to take meds for it. And so it's like everything that I write is intentionally placed in a manner that I want people to be able to put their own voice into it. It's a very beautiful superpower, I think, to be able to express yourself. And for me, growing up, I didn't write songs. I only started writing music after I lost my hearing. But I was so thankful for all of the songwriters that were out there in the world who could say how I was feeling at that time, and you gravitate toward the song that actually just says what you can't think to say. And you're just like, that's what I meant. That's how my heart is feeling. And so I think songwriting is one of the most beautiful forms of art.
I agree. And honestly, what you just said there, I can totally resonate with. One of the reasons I'm such a fan of music and fan of songwriters is because they have this talent to connect you and to a situation you may be having in life by their own life experience and by their own art. And it's healing and it's therapeutic. And one of the songs that I want to ask you about as far as your songwriting goes, and there's a reason why I'm asking you this, and I'm going to ask you the question, then I'll give you my reasoning after I ask it to you, this question that is about the song Try. Now, Try, I believe, was the song that you performed first on America's Got Talent. Is that correct?
I did.
Now, what I want to ask you about is, obviously you kind of gave an explanation of what it was about, but can you go a little bit deeper about what that songwriting process and what you were writing about and what you were trying to deal with at the time that you wrote that song? It's so beautiful.
Oh, well, thank you. I love talking about Try. That it's never going to not be an important song to my journey of who I am. Try was a product that was birthed because of a conversation that I had with an amazing friend of mine named Eric Weinmeier. He is the first blind man to climb Mount Everest, and he's done the 7 summits. He's kayaked the Grand Canyon. Absolutely phenomenal human being. And he co-founded a nonprofit organization called No Barriers that I'm on the board of now. And their motto is what's within you is stronger than what's in your way. And so I had a conversation with Eric, and he's like, well, why aren't you writing music? And I was like, it's absolutely terrifying. It's hard enough and scary enough to sing a song that I can't hear, but I know other people love. It's a completely different story to sing a song that no one has ever heard before. I mean, that's just terrifying. And he said, well, what's the worst that can happen? And so I sat down in my room, and this is the first song that I wrote truly about myself. And I wrote the whole song in a span of about 10 minutes. It was really quite a quick write, but I just was resonating on this idea of what's within you is stronger than what's in your way. What's in my way? What has always been in my way? Me. And allowing fear to dictate my life. And so it's like, all right, well, let's just write a song about that, and let's just be honest. And so I said, well, how did I get here? How did I get to a point where fear has dominated my entire existence? And so I started the first verse by just admitting who I am now. And who I am now is a broken person. I mean, my world has been flipped upside down, but truthfully, even before losing my hearing, I didn't know who I was to begin with. And so I just felt completely lost, but I was tired of having that be my story, the person who's lost. And so I just said it. I just said it very straightforwardly. I'm broken. I'm a mess. And then the second verse is stating how that's affected not just my life, but how my brokenness has affected all of my relationships and all of the people who I care about. And I have been so hyper-focused on my pain that I'm not loving people the way that they deserve to be loved. I'm not communicating, I'm not reaching out, and I'm not being supportive to other people in their pain as well, especially my family members, my friends, even my relationship with God. Like, all of that was in question. And so that's what the second verse was. The bridge is the statement of what I'm trying to accomplish. It's saying that I have the power to change my life for the positive if I would just get out of my own way. And so as far as writing the song, the meaning behind the song, that's the meaning of the song. But writing the song, because this was one of the first songs that I ever wrote, I put tricks in there for myself. Because I can't hear the song, there's a natural break in your voice, and where you go from head to chest voice. And so the first note of try, that natural note is my break voice, where I can shout it, but I typically sing it in a head voice. And so I knew where that note lies in my throat. So it was kind of a reminder as I was going through the song to not be scared, because you know that that's that note based off of how it feels.
And, you know, it's just amazing how you've been able to just continue on, you know, blessing the world with your talent, you know, with all the challenge involved. But I want to take an opportunity real quickly to explain kind of why I, you know, really feel connected to that song, the Try song, because when I first heard it, I'll be honest with you, I cried. I think that many people, when they first saw your America's Got Talent performances, cried. I mean, look in the audience that people were tearing up, and I cried. I did. I'm not ashamed of it. It was a moving performance and a moving song. But the reason that I resonate, connect with that song so much is because, and I've not really talked about this on my show, about 8 years ago, I took an antibiotic called Cipro. And it's a class of fluoroquinolone drugs, and it completely destroyed my health and my life. And I developed many chronic health issues. And one of the things that happened to me is because of one thing or another, because of the effects of this drug on my body, I lost my ability to speak for 2 years. And obviously, you know, a guy who likes to use his voice a lot, radio, obviously you do too, you know, not being able to speak at all is devastating.
Yeah.
I've had, you know, many challenges besides that from that medication damaging my body, but that's just one, and it's been a trial of 8 years. And that song just paints a picture of what I feel still to this day and what I felt through my health journey. So it's so inspirational, you know, your story and your ability. And just like you were inspired by the man who without his sight could climb Mount Everest, you know, your story inspires people like me and everybody else too.
Well, I think that we all have stories, and you, even just in this moment, painting a very tiny picture of this journey that you've been on for the last 8 years is going to inspire other people as well. I think that we're not necessarily inspired by tremendous big shows, you know, like climbing Mount Everest was amazing. That's a feat that no one will ever take away from Eric. But what people are actually inspired about Eric is his just general tenacity of life and overcoming himself. And I think that when we're honest and we are open about these are the challenges of life, period. And we are allowing ourselves to become more of a community, more of an environment where we can love on each other and encourage each other and push each other forward. That's what's inspirational. So you talking about this journey that you've been on, there's going to be somebody who listens to that and says, oh my gosh, I did this surgery and this happened. The reason why I lost my hearing was because I have Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, and my body basically rejected itself. And then all of these medications that I was on for all these surgeries exhausted my system. And so having that tie, you saying that reminds me of my story. And then together, you know, like we encourage each other through that process. And so I think that it's so important for us to be encouraging and uplifting, but open, even the messy bits. We never want to talk about the messy bits because it seems dark and depressing, but it doesn't have to be. It can be this is what's going on in my life, and this is where I'm going.
Well said. I'm a big believer that, you know, our story can, like you said, like you painted the picture well, our story can help affect other people positively. And I also think it can bring glory to God. And, you know, how has your faith helped you through this journey in your music career and dealing with your hearing loss?
Well, I mean, there's an amazing thing about not feeling alone. I was very blessed that I grew up with faith, and so it wasn't something that was new to my life. But I will be the first to admit that when all this stuff happened, I was very challenged with everything. I was very frustrated. And I had people, you know, and people come up to me on a daily basis and they send me stuff on a daily basis. If you know, your hearing loss is because you have 4 piercings in your ears, and that is an affront to faith. And if you remove your earrings and you dunk your head in the Nile 7 times in a row, your hearing will come back. Or if you get acupuncture in your eyeballs, then, you know, it'll restore. You know, there's so many different people's faith is personal. And I don't dismiss their thoughts, even though sometimes I think that that's ludicrous and weird, but that's them. And if that's how they get through the day, and that's where they feel, happy, peace and joy. But for me, my faith is a very personal journey, and it's every day, and it's ever changing. And I had a lot of lessons that I had to learn in that process as well. And one of the big lessons was, if I can only love God when things are going the way that I think that they should go, I'm not really loving God. I'm just using him to love myself. And I needed to say that this is a broken world that's messy, and it's not heaven, and it's difficult and it's hard, but that's because it's earth, and we're human, and we're broken, and we're messy. And that's not the point. The point is not to have a perfect, easy life where nothing bad ever happens to you. The point is to wake up the next day and do your best to do as much beautiful things as possible, as much encouraging things as possible, and as much positive things as possible, and shine through all of the muck anyway, and love on each other. And so that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to stop pitying myself as much, even though I have great days of pity. Man, when my body breaks down and I have surgeries and I wake up and everything's in pain, and I just can I just have one day, just a break, just a day of a break? And I can go into this zone of pity party, but I choose not to, because it doesn't benefit the situation at all. I said, well, you know what? I woke up this morning. Not everybody did. That's already something to celebrate. So let's go from here.
And as long as you're breathing, there's still hope. And the thing that really, as you're talking about that, I think about, you had said early in our interview that, you were broken. And I feel like through my health issues that I just completely went from a period of feeling like unbreakable to being a completely broken human being. But the fact of the matter is, this world is broken. And every individual is broken in some sort of way. But, people who have faith in God, we have hope. We have hope for now. We have hope for the future. And that's powerful.
Yeah, I think that we all have a responsibility to lend hope when we don't have it. And so if my form of lending hope is writing a song that somebody else can put their heart into, and someone else can feel, not alone in the things that they're doing, or joy, or just a giggle, or sarcasm, or whatever, then I'm going to write songs until the day that I die. And even if nobody listened to them, even if I had never been on AGT, that still would be the case. I'm still going to write music. I'm still going to perform. I'm still going to be out there, and I'm going to do what I can to shine a positive light into the world by the skills that I have.
You're doing an awesome job, and I'm telling you, you've got a fan in me. Your music is beautiful. The songwriting is awesome. Now, I want to stop for 1 second, and there's a segment that I do in my show. Every time I do a show, it's called One Question with Violet. I have a beautiful 9-year-old daughter, blonde hair, blue eyes, named Violet, and she would love to ask you a question if that was okay.
Oh, yeah, go for it.
Okay, give me 1 moment to go out of the studio and grab her. I'll be right back.
Sure.
Okay, I am back, and I am back with Violet. So here, Mandy, is one question with Violet.
I've always wanted to be a singer, and I was wondering if you had any advice for how to get there.
Yeah, are you a person who's really confident singing in front of everybody, or do you get nervous?
I get nervous. Sometimes I do. You
get nervous? Do you get nervous in front of strangers or in front of family members?
Mostly family members.
Who makes you the most nervous? Okay. So that's because you care about their opinion, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. So I would say two pieces of advice. One is that at some point you're going to have to not care what they think and just sing. And to get there, repetition is the best way. So find opportunities, set up opportunities, and sing songs in front of your family members. It's going to be painful and scary and weird, and you're not going to want to do it at first because it's awkward, but it's only awkward because you're making it awkward. So it'll help boost your confidence, but it'll also help it become a normalcy so that you're not scared or nervous about it anymore. So that's my first one. The second one is that you want to expand it outside of your family. And I think that performance and getting out there is such a benefit to you creatively, but it also puts you in a position where you have to think on your feet and problem solve. And so I would always recommend that a person go to an open mic night and have that become a part of your norm, so that you get out there and you start singing in front of other people, and you just allow yourself to shine in that moment, not care what other people think, but do it for the exposure of it and for the personal growth. Those are my bits of advice.
Thank you.
Yeah. Good luck.
Oh, she's smiling ear to ear, Mandy.
Oh, I'm so glad.
That was great advice. See, she loves to sing. She's a beautiful singer, but she is very shy. I'm currently pastoring a church, and we've been trying to get her more involved with the music, and she just wants to be a singer so bad. But that advice that you gave her was perfect, because, you know, her biggest issue is being timid and shy about it, and that was great advice. Thank you so much.
That's who I was. You know, I mean, I used to be, like, known as the person who would, like, pass out or vomit. So it's something that...
Well, you've come a long way.
Well, you know, life has beaten me forward. So, but no, I think that the best thing that I ever really did was sing. I sang every Thursday night at a jazz club in Fort Collins, Colorado for years. I was there, and it was kind of like an open mic night, but it was like an invitation kind of a thing. And then once I started singing there on Thursdays, I sang there all night long on Thursdays. And then eventually I would do concerts there on Saturdays or a Friday or whatever. And I got so used to being forced to perform in front of people that it made me a more confident person just based off of time.
Well, with your singing career going full speed ahead, you have a new album coming out. Will you tell us a bit about that?
Oh, I'm so excited. It comes out November 22nd. The album is named Nice to Meet You. And the reason is one, it's based off of the first line of what will be my big first single, which is This Time, that's going to come out on November 1st. And the whole album is a personal journey. And so I wanted to have it say Nice to Meet You, because I feel like after the album finished, I feel like I'm a different person now. And so you're meeting me for the first time. And I'm meeting you for the first time, because I didn't really know myself. And so, you know, I'm sure that I will grow more and I will become a different person in the future as well. But I'm really excited about this one. It's got so much heart in it, and it's so much fun. And I've been blessed to be able to work with some really amazing musicians and producers. And I think it's going to be a great part of my life that I just am proud of for the rest of it.
Well, I'm going to go get a copy as soon as I can, and when it comes out, I'm telling you, I'm becoming such a fan of your music. Now, do you perform live at all? Can people ever see you in concert?
Oh, of course. Yeah, I perform live a lot. I have a band, and we travel all over. We've even traveled internationally. We've been to Finland and Sweden and all sorts of places. But I do perform in the U.S. I have, I think in the spring I'll be doing a large tour. But yeah, I've got a few gigs left for this year. And then we'll see what happens for Christmas time. I typically do some holiday shows, which is a little different, but there will be a tour for this album for sure.
Well, if you come in my area, I'll be there. I'll tell you that.
All right. I'll count on it. I'll be like, dude, what happened? You said you would come.
I'll be there in the front row, and I'll be old school with a lighter. I'll be the guy with the lighter, not my cell phone.
Just don't light anybody's hair on fire, and we'll be good. I actually love when people bring, like, when they light up their phone and they do that, or they light up lighters. It really makes me giggle because I can't hear the clapping. So we do deaf applause, but it's like, it's a moment where I can't not see you. And so it's just my attention shoots right to that person. So it's just like, hey, sup, buddy? So you'll make me smile.
That's awesome. Do you have like a website where people can find out more information, your music, your tours, all that stuff?
Yeah, of course. You can go to mandyharveymusic.com. I'm also available on Instagram, Mandy Harvey, Facebook, Mandy Harvey Music, Twitter, Mandy Harvey. I'm here. I'm around. If you forget, you can just Google and you'll see it. You'll find me pretty easily.
Yeah, you're everywhere. And like I'm telling you, go on YouTube or wherever and see her performances and hear them. They're beautiful. She's got music videos. They're awesome. Mandy Harvey, thank you so much for coming on the show. Please come back again soon.
Oh, I'm here anytime you wish. So you just let me know. I'm back.